What's going on, beautiful people? Tim Sheaf here, and today I'm going to talk about a subject that I didn't want to talk about. I don't want to talk about this stuff. I don't want to address these issues, but I can't ignore my mind's awareness of such matters and collating evidence together. I can't stop that. I don't even watch the news, but I get sent things on WhatsApp. I get sent videos. I get sent links to YouTube videos, which, if I've got the time, sometimes I end up watching. I have my own thoughts, and with the awareness of already the freedom in my mind of knowing that there are certain aspects of society which aren't as pure as we'd like to think. There are certain people that control things in society that goes on behind the scenes. That's not government, and I'm not going to say this is government. It goes on beyond and deeper levels, and this is things not from interactions but from my own awareness of seeing what's going on in the world and understanding that there's no symptoms without deeper issues. It's not, things aren't isolated. Incidents around the world aren't isolated, and so everybody wants to watch CSI and Stranger Things and all these movies and documentaries and enjoy the drama and mystery and story and Sherlock Holmes, but not no one, because there's certainly people that are waking up now, most people are afraid or don't want to comprehend the fact that this stuff could be going on in real life, but much deeper level, and things that we can solve and understand for ourselves without having to be in a movie world. It's like this stuff is, that's why I can't even watch programs anymore, because real life is crazier than this stuff. And so with the Grenfell Tower incident, I'm not saying this is, and I'm going to have to use a word, and I don't like using it because it's a trigger word for people. I'm not saying it's a conspiracy. We have to forget that word. We have to look at things individually and just see what is going on in this instance. Because as long as we just have a collective belief that, oh, everything's fine, that there's no ill behaviour going on, people in power, they care about us. They care about us and our well-being. They wouldn't do this stuff because we know they don't. We know people don't. We know people will do whatever they can to make money, make more money off us, and no lives matter. We need to remember that no lives matter in these issues. So I'm not saying this is that. I'm not saying this is that behind the scenes this is controlled and organised and things. But I'm saying we have to be able to look at this stuff and be our own Sherlock Holmes and forget what's going on in movies and TV shows and realise that in real life things are happening around us that we need to address and be open to looking at, and not say, oh, you can't say that because that's crazy talk or whatever. It's like, that's why I'm doing this video, so I can piece together the things I've seen so that maybe you can see, make your own idea. I'm not telling you what to think of what you see too. Yeah, so if we go through my train of thought, what do we know? What was one of the starting points? So one of the starting points that I saw addressed a lot in a lot of videos was that a year ago the government put 10 million into restoring this tower.
But the biggest problem was the outside. That building was reclad last summer in 2016. They spent £10 million on it. I don't care what anyone says, there's no way that that fire should spread that quickly on a newly refurbished building. I saw those cladding panels, the cladding on the outside and the insulation was just peeling off like you'd peel a banana.
And it was burning?
It's burning, it's fully on fire. I could see the flames behind. There's a new cladding system being put on the outside of the building, so like a new skin, and obviously there's an air gap and insulation behind that. To me, it just looked like that was a fantastic chimney for the fire to rage round.
But what I do know is they did regeneration last year to that building that they're talking about doing to all of these buildings. They did it to that building only, £10 million they're talking about, and put these shoddy plastic things on there that set up a light because they want more reasons to knock these blocks down. There's two options. They could either regenerate the blocks or they could knock them down.
Now we also know that there was many people on site saying that there were no fire alarms, the fire alarms didn't go off, and that they came around just days before the incident happened. Firemen came around the building and checked the fire alarms.
You know what would have helped is if there had been a fire alarm. So when I was in the building it was dead silent. So I was shocked that there was no fire alarm, no sprinklers. I think people would have got out if there had been an alarm.
And
you hear any alarms going off?
No, that's what everybody was saying. No alarms, no sprinklers, no alarm, because everyone we asked that particular when we came out, they said no alarm sound, nothing.
Saturday we did have the fire brigade team come around and speak to people in their houses.
Check alarms to make sure they're working.
Just this Saturday?
Just this Saturday.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Yes.
And they told us the protocol was to close your door because the fire door will withstand the heat for a duration of time. But I think what's happened is they're not understanding that this fire has spread all around the building. So that is wrong information for that building and the material in that building. Because if you're staying in your house, you could still be trapped.
So apparently the surrounding area is quite affluent, and this is one remaining council tower of lower income families, and it was an eyesore for the area.
The people who died and lost their homes, this happened to them because they are poor. We are in one of the richest spaces, not just in London, but in the world. Repeated requests were ignored. There is nowhere that rich people live in a building without adequate fire safety. Everyone I spoke to who was out there couldn't hear alarms. There was no sprinkler system.
There was no alarms.
Right.
So that doesn't seem awfully strange that they spent 10 million doing up a building and it would set ablaze and destroy so many people's lives the way it has. I'm addressing this because suffering has gone on.
I broke down when I saw the children because they were at the window and they were screaming for help, and then all the black smoke went and then their room went up in fire and I just started crying.
Not because I want to look at this way, but because suffering has gone on, people are hurting, and is going on, and it's not the only time. Remember the True Era estate and the problem that caused in Stratford, which is where I used to live, when they were trying to knock down the estate so that they could build new buildings for affluent people, turn it social cleansing or whatever they call it, to turn it from a council estate into expensive luxury housing. And that caused a lot of issues. And remember, Russell Brand got involved in that.
No, you're telling anyone who's like... Cameron's prepared to come out of his big house and help us. He isn't, is he? But Russell Brand has, and thank God there is people like him who's prepared to step out and help people like us. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here today. We wouldn't have 300,000 signatures. We would have been kicked out and booted out of London.
Yeah,
so thank
Snides
God.
like you, mate, undermine it. You're a snide.
I've seen it also with Elephant and Castle estate, where that was a great parkour location I used to train on, and we used to train there. It was completely empty apart from about 2 or 3 residents who refused to move away from it, and they couldn't knock it down until they got those residents out. And the big issues this caused in those areas. And now I've seen, of course, the building has been knocked down after so many years, and they've turned it into some high-rise buildings, more affluent, more higher priced high income people moving in there to make London a more rich and luxurious area. This isn't isolated. I'm not saying, again, I keep having to reiterate because I know how much people are like, oh, you can't claim it's that. I'm not claiming it's that, but we've got to look at all these issues that are going on. This would be, if you're going to put your Sherlock noggin to it, this would be a cleaner way for them, because then you don't have Russell Brand riling up all these troops. You don't have these people that can stay there. Everyone is going to get out of that building. They can turn it around. It's certainly shady that they checked the fire alarms days before. Whatever they put in the building the year before that they spent millions on ended up being more flammable because it just shot up. Here's a snippet from my friend who's a fireman, and actually spoke to his friend who's also a fireman, who was one of the first people on the scene and actually supposedly dealt with the fridge.
I spoke to a guy who's in one of the first crews there, yeah, and I think the initial call come through as like a fire in the kitchen or something. There's a fridge at that, and apparently they went in, normal everyday job, went in, put the fire out, radio down and said, oh, Gov, fire's out, it's all sorted. And then he radioed back and said the fire's not out, and they said, like, well, we're in the flat, Gov, like, we've put the fire out, it's out. And then he said, you better come outside. Like, so they've gone outside and the fucking side of the building's on fire. So apparently it's all to do with this wood cladding or this plastic cladding that they had on the side of the building. Like they've done it with a lot of buildings around Stratford, Westfield. All them old dead flats that look shit. There was a bit of an eyesore, so they just wrapped them. They didn't do nothing inside, they just wrapped them. Just put some cladding up, cover up all the old concrete, and that's what they did with this place. But whatever they've done it with is highly flammable. Like summer's evening as well. If it's a summer's evening and everyone's got their windows open, especially in a tower block, like everyone needs their windows open because no one can get out there, but the fire just, boom, will just climb up and just spread, catch people's curtains alight, then the room's on fire, the flat's on fire, and the process repeats. The Coriolis effect, the wind just takes it up and around the building, just spirals up. But I still can't look at that and believe, even as a fireman, believe that happened. Like, how the fuck can a building burn like that at this day and age?
So I find that super interesting piece in that little bit in there, that they put the fridge fire out. These guys are professional firemen. They put the fire out, left the building, left the room. And the next minute, there's a fire going on the other side of the room after they said they dealt with it. You think firemen are going to go in there and going to leave the window on fire? Maybe they would. Maybe it was an innocent mistake.
So lots of people were just trapped. People were told to stay in there. That was the worst thing, because a lot of people would have survived if they came out, but the authorities told them to stay in the building.
We need to build up. I don't know the solution to this, but I'm just offering my 2 cents, because it's my responsibility as a human to put my face to it as well. And I'm not doing this for me. It's not about me. But there's a lot of people can put this stuff online and compile all the videos, but people can't put their face to it and their name to it. I'm in support, and I see the frustration of the people that are involved in the incident, in the interviews, feeling like this is suspicious, that a tower in this day and age worth that much money can just go up in flames like that, and they can give advice to people to stay in your buildings, which would make it easier for them down the line to not have to deal with compensating all these people in that sense. And this is just frustrating. I'm not saying this is the case. I'm not saying this is the case. I'm saying we need to be able to look at it. We need to be open-minded to it and realize that crazy things are going on in our world, and that the media can spin things and they can put confusion. As long as they put conflicting arguments in one paper and on another, and on the news and in the newspaper, it will create confusion and doubt, and then we'll just move on with our lives and get on with it. But look at what's going on in London. Look at the attacks that have gone on in London, and look at this. London is being bullied right now, and I'm not saying it's the government, because they are as clueless as, if you look at them, as clueless as anyone. There are people behind the scenes pulling strings that are about power, that are about money, that are about control, that are about creating fear and creating division between us. And we need to lift the curtain and reveal the Wizard of Oz. We need to do that. We need to address it now. And this is not isolated. This lies have gone on for at least 500 years as far as I can see. You've got to be open to it. Thank you for listening. Stay safe. Know that you're loved. Peace out.
Police were pushing us away. Fathers was coming from the prayer. So they had to see literally their children and their wives on the window. Hopeless, can't do anything. And we're like, well, it's burning on the side and it's just starting. Let's get the people off all that side of the building. The police was like, no, go away. We're dealing with this. Go. They pushed us literally from the bridge all the way down. We run around to the car wash, and we've seen the fire it coming upwards and then gradually going on the roof. By then, there were more time that people could get off. But the police officers and the parents on the telephone, they've been told, stay in your property. Yeah. Don't come down.
That's all we can hear from
dangerous.
Outside. Yeah.
Sorry, it was not dangerous. I have footages, and my iPhone does not lie about the timing. They had time to escape, but they were on the window screaming and shouting. When it got the fire happened from the outside in. Didn't happen from the inside out. It started from the outside in. They had plenty of time. Let me tell you, the fireman came 2 hours later.
Okay, so say this is the case. Just hypothetically. Not saying it is, but say if we're to look at it from a suspicious perspective, which we should look at things, we should question things. What's the motive? What's the motive for this fire? Okay. They clear out the council estate. They don't have to relocate as many people. If people die, they don't have to relocate as many people. They don't have to fight to get residents out, because imagine a tower block that size with however many residents it had, to clear that many people out and say, look, we're moving you out so we can build a new tower here and bring in some richer bods. They don't have to deal with any of that. One fire is a quick solution to not happen what happened in True Air Estate, to not have what happened in Elephant and Castle. There's a motive there. And essentially the end of that motive would be to make money. To make money sooner, quicker, because with those other estates, those big issues cost them millions upon millions of money from the time it takes to kick the people out, to build the new things. That's a lot of rent. It's a lot of houses sold that there's not been sold yet. So there is a motive if this is the case. Looking at it suspiciously, that's the motive. But the means would be to do it in a fire, and the opportunity would be late at night when it would harm kill as many people as possible, with no fire alarms. No fire alarms going off to warn people. Anyone that is in the house panicking, calling up, and has been told to stay in the house, has been advised 4 days before, if there is a fire, stay in your house, the door will protect you, which is not the case. The opportunity is there. It's a horrible thing to be aware of. That I don't want to speak about this on this channel. I want to speak about healing the body and being more human, but this is all part of it. It's all one big picture, one big perspective. This is going on in our world. We should be aware of it. As you heal your body and your mind becomes less numb to these things and more aware that there are problems going on in the world, you start to see these things. This is something that we need to take note of and take heed and take issue with. And so I am here speaking about it because I see reason to be suspicious, because the motives are there and the means and the opportunity are there. I'm not saying that's how it is, but I'm saying think about it. Think, even if it's just a mind game for yourself, to be like, okay, yeah, Tim's a little crazy. I don't think that's the case. Wait till you see one again, because you start to notice patterns and patterns, and they come up again and again. And you watch interviews with the people that actually live with it, that have to live with dead relatives, dead children, that they were out and family members died. They have to live with this, and they deserve answers. They deserve the truth. Why has a building been spent that much on regeneration and it is just plastic cladding that just goes up in flames? It's shady business, my man. It's shady business. We need to question everything. What can you do? Whether you're involved or not, the best things you can do: take control of your own life, empower yourself, take diet into your own hands, because that's the way the controllers and numbers. Question everything in a healthy way. Don't get paranoid with it. Keep on with your life. Go to the gym, work out, go for runs where none of this matters to anything but you and your world, and step in and out of the world. Don't get totally immersed in this stuff, and don't completely remove yourself, because we've got to be aware and we've got to help people. I love you all. Know that you are loved. I'll catch you all soon with some more fun topics. Seriously, horrible to talk about, but needs addressing. See you in a bit.
I feel like the government are trying to micromanage people's grieving here. That's what's happening. I've never in my entire life seen an event like this where the death count has been downplayed by the mainstream media. 17, I'm sorry, but I'm hearing from people that the figure is much closer to 150, and that many of those people are children.